Yes, well, I rang in on this one because that load's just not there. I don't, the hot water's on, and when you've got everything else, it goes from 3600 to 3800. So I ran the kettle, and it seems to somehow maintain this extra load. Couple of hundred, between 0 to 400. 2 to 400, sorry. About 2 to 400, and it's just not disappearing. Now, I'm not using that power, and here they're charging me grid consumption for it. So that's what I mean. They are falsifying the records here. My system does not operate this way. Never does it do what it's doing. This is all false positives. So let's just go down here and see if they're actually putting it onto the graph or not. And so as you see, and all here, and I've been highlighting right throughout this video, there is nothing. The last grid consumption happened early in the morning here, at like 5 o'clock or something. And I can tell you this morning, this was 5:11 or something. It was just over 5. And so right throughout today, when I've been living off my own battery that I charged up, which you can see in the background, that's the battery that I've been living off, right? Well, in that process, and after this time, I've used a kilowatt, they say. And there's absolutely no way my system has. I've been living on the battery the whole time. And there's no record of it on the inverter, which that graph there is the inverter. This is the only graph I get. And this is my actual on-site inverter graph, which is bona fide usage. And so once again, here we are. This load is not correct to me, right? This is an incorrect load, so I don't know how they've done that. And then here they're saying that I'm using 157 grid consumption. And yet if you look on my on-site equipment, that is not occurring at all. And the very concerning thing is the total keeps going up. See, it's gone up 0.1. There's proof. And that's in a 13-minute video. Let's just check the graph again. I'll refresh it too. Yeah. And yeah, so this is where we are in the time of line, right? I had this working really well with the lighting before. Is that better? I don't know. I think this is better, right? Anyway, the main one is this one, consumed, and there is nothing. And yet, you've witnessed in this short video this go up, and go back to the start. You can check it yourself. And we saw all this malarkey going on here. It was saying grid consumption, grid, and all this. When I know for a fact this system, I've been running it and monitoring it for a long time now, does not operate like that. I know that you will get hot water if there's at least 1,000 coming in here, or around this much. It doesn't have to be quite 1,000. And then because whatever this is, the battery load, right, comes out at 3,000. So the hot water is 3,600 on its own, 3,600 to 3,800, right? So I know the battery's going to knock 3 out at any given time. And then on the solar, all I need is to have more than 1,000 or 800 or so, and I get free hot water, right? And what they do, what happens in that process, which is the big scam, part of the big scam they're pulling, is I'm eating my battery to do my hot water, which I used to get the cheap rate on, which now they'll only give you the cheap rate when you exhaust your battery. So it's a completely disrespectful, mismanaged. And I paid a lot of money for this equipment, and they are constantly taking the benefit from it. And for them to turn around and say these sorts of things is just disgraceful. Everyone has the right to the thing that they purchased to use it as intended. And technically, the power that my system produces, that's my power. And you guys are helping yourself to it. And you're doing all sorts of dodgy stuff as well. And what I mean by that is you're throttling different equipment in my house. I've lost a fridge. I've got a 3-bar heater that only 1 bar works on it now. Those 2 bars went out at different times, and I've sat there watching this thing going, brightening up, and then going right down and brightening up, and You know, my hot plate in here, sometimes I try to cook dinner, it takes 45 minutes because of all this stuff that they've done. And so none of this behavior, I had none of these problems. I didn't have any of my appliances breaking and blowing up and all this. Oh, and my house almost burnt down. I forgot to mention the fuse on the side of the house was smouldering for 4 days before it finally got fixed. I mean, you just can't make up this complete disaster. That's all I can say it is. I'm getting sicker and sicker. I told them I don't want this meter here. It's making me sick. They said, oh, we'll remove the update thing, right? The live mobile phone thing, which I've since found out that they didn't remove it. There's another one built into the thing, so they haven't removed it. So it's still there. And they're adamant that they're not going to remove it, even though it's making me sick. And this is what I just don't understand. 47% of Australians have forced to have had this thing installed, when it's been making people sick all over the earth, right? And it's also clearly recognised as a total scam, and provable too. Just type in reverse engineering smart meter, and you'll find it's all encrypted and all this. So pretty much they can say whatever they want happened at your house, and you've got no leg to stand on because they say that your equipment's not certified metering equipment. I mean, you can't make this scam up. This is very carefully orchestrated what they've done, and the other thing is they're going full bore on this whole thing. I mean, they're already doing all this horrible stuff, and they're planning to, start taking power out of people's EVs, and out of their Tesla cars, and you know, they're throwing up more kind of concerning propaganda to get people away from thinking what they're already doing. And the power prices here in Adelaide are the most shocking in the planet, and the propaganda here is the most prevalent, because it's a whole cock of bags, mate. When you say this, right, that this solar system can basically run my house on its own. I could disconnect from the mains altogether, and I'd survive, and I'd do all right, and I'd save a bucket ton. I mean, I wouldn't be in hardship, and I wouldn't be in debt. And then they say, oh, the network issues, blah, blah, blah. I mean, look at this. This is a straight scam. So my battery can pump out 3,000. There's 44%. And so they've malfunctioned this, and we'll check it in a second. And, they malfunction it to say that I used it, and I didn't even use anything. What I've appreciated what they're doing is they're just metering what I'm using in my own house from my own battery, which was power I already bought from them to put in there in the off-peak period of time when I bought it. I do that every night, and they do the same thing every day. This is the biggest scam I've ever seen. I mean, how can you make someone buy their whole system, and a huge investment, and then completely hijack it to rip them off further? And what I mean by that is to charge them 3 times for their power, basically. I say 3 times because the second time that you charge me for it, I don't get the product. So to me, that's like 3 times. And this is an absolute scam. And it's already known in UK and Britain. All the big companies there, they let everyone remove the smart meters. They didn't let this conglomerate, right? Because they know what they're doing. I mean, this is one of the best businesses on the face of the planet at the moment. They're ripping everyone off massively by it. And the government is in bed with them completely. And don't think for a second that they didn't know what they were doing with what they've done here in Australia. Because they'll test their extortion techniques in other countries where there's a lot more laxed laws and that sort of stuff. And then they'll come here, and they've tried every angle here, as I've mentioned in previous videos. They tried to change the act around metering, and then that got superseded by the preceding act, I suspect because of dodgy metering stuff in it. right? And so what did they have to do after that? Well, they couldn't get what they wanted, so they separated the metering element of a company. So this is Origin here in Adelaide. So that leg of their arm, so any smart metering leg, they removed out of their business. And they sold that company, Acumen Metering, to a Canadian company who also invested billions into the Australian infrastructure in one thing only, installing smart meters, whether it's safe or not. Because my house almost burnt down, and my cousin's house did burn down. And there's people that have lost their lives in this state from this same thing. Yeah, you can't make up the aggressive, you say it's marketing. It's not marketing. It's like it's money grabbing. It's aggressive money grabbing is what it is. And yeah, all of this that we've been watching, we'll go down and check. Yep, so this has gone up. The grid consumption, where at no time watching it was it a suitable data output that I was using grid consumption, because I wasn't. And then we look here, oh look, they've actually put an imprint of grid consumption here. Okay, so this is very concerning. So let's just analyze it. Right, so looking at this grid consumption here, now remembering my load, 3 of that gets cancelled by the battery straight away. So what's left? Oh, there's 82 left. Okay, great. So what's coming in on the solar? 84. So what the hell are they charging me grid consumption for? No, they've hijacked my equipment. And this data, I don't know how they've been able to do it. They've been able to present false data and create a running tally, right? And then here they've actually caused my meter to malfunction. I mean, my equipment. My equipment never works like this. It never did this ever until a smart meter was put in. And that said, it's never done this until the last 5 weeks. In fact, the first one they did, because it was a complete false imprint onto my inverter, I freaked out. And the first one they did was actually a feed-in. I was pulling my hair out going, how the hell have they done this? Because it's not legitimate. It's completely out of the parameters of this optimized system that I've got. And so, like I said, they have hijacked and they are malfunctioning my equipment by means of the smart meter and the metering company in order to extort money out of me illegally on falsified data. And no, I'm not paying for that. Anyway, I'll go check the hot water now. I mean, right now, so this battery pumps out at 3,000, right? And here they're saying I'm using 200, which we look at on the records, there was no use of that. So how they've been able to actually make my system malfunction, so work against me, is of serious, serious concern. And then to hear that this gives them the gateway that, if it's winter and everyone's got their heaters on, and I come home out of the rain and I'm freezing cold and I want to put it on full tit, it'll be watered down. The heater won't even work properly. And I've been witnessing this stuff already. I'm watching them throttle my equipment and destroy it and all sorts of stuff. Check the hot water. That's hot enough. I'll go turn it off because this is what I have to do every day because I don't have gas hot water yet. And because this is how they abuse the system. Right, so there goes the hot water load. And so my battery is now at 42.8%. And look what they're doing. They're charging me grid consumption when my load is 26.4 and I've got 1600 solar coming in. And apparently the equipment I'm looking here, which is very expensive power, it's called an inverter, so it changes DC into usable AC current. And it tells you the loss of current, the loss of power in the transaction, and it's highly accurate equipment. Oh, but they say, oh no, it's not. This is their whole, you rock up saying, look, you say they're metering me and I can see they're doing the dodgy because my equipment says otherwise. Then they say, oh, your equipment doesn't mean anything. So my $17,000 solar system or whatever it is, right, has been completely screwed by a $100 smart meter. And my health. And this is what I don't get. My health is continuing to deteriorate and they don't take me seriously. It was just yesterday with the complaints with AGL, I was telling them I want the smart meter gone. You put this in here, it's making me sick. And it's continuing to do so. And it's not just physically. Oh, we're not going to do it, this is the biggest crock I've ever heard. So I am all for no smart meters, straight up. The smart meters are nothing but a massive scam. And that said, if there is to be the smart meter network, it needs to be completely changed on who's running it. Because all they're doing here is they are straight up ripping everybody off by mismanagement, and they're doing it on purpose. So all of you want to act like it's not happening. You know why? Because they get paid for the jobs they're in. And otherwise, the people that are paying them are making so much money. And so, yeah, it's a massive power thing. Now look how low my load is. It's low as. And anyway, so my battery, so I know how this system operates after it was installed by the installers on the old meter. I watched it day in, day out. And so basically that battery can charge up to 2900. So yeah, explain this to me. I mean, come on. They charge me grid consumption when I've got 8 times the amount of power coming in on solar. Yeah, and so what I know is this system was set up to work perfectly. And when they put the smart meter in, that all changed. So yes, they have completely hijacked my equipment for their own personal gains, even persecuting me, as well as the sickness and everything that comes with having such a device in your house, and the stress and what it's done to your whole way of living. And this has been some of the coldest years in my 43 years of life. It's almost been a year. Definitely the coldest winter. Why? Because I can't use the bloody heater. And look at what they're doing here. They were just charging me grid consumption. I mean, how on earth is that an accurate meter? There's nothing accurate about it when they've hijacked the service operation of my equipment. And this is the most concerning thing. Look, they've actually been able to make an imprint. This is the thing that really shocked me. I'm kind of over it now, but when it first did, man, I was so lucky. I couldn't believe it was happening. So let's take a look. Let's try and get that to come out. I've got to do this. Hold on. Right. So once again, the battery takes out. Oh, hang on. You can't see that. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Once again, see, I've got 43% battery, which is available for me to use at any time at 3000 watt. So you see that load there? So that means that load after the 3000 watt from the battery supplies it, there's a remainder deficit of 0.97. Now, how much in solar's coming in? There's 3.2 coming in. So how on earth are they charging me 500, that's equivalent 500 watts right there. Like, that's not malfunction. That's straight theft. That's what that is. Done in the name of the environment, orchestrated by the government, and left to the wolves to devour it, the sheep. I mean, that's all I can say. We've been left to the wolves to be devoured. As you see here, the battery's almost at it's at its capacity of charging, and so this is where the feed-in would happen legitimately. And so in this case, in fact, at times they force me to use power because I want to stop them taking the feed-in. Why? Because they prioritize my whole system to suit them. I don't want to be, what I mean by suit them, so that it's going to cost me money. That's what I mean. I mean, look at this. There's 3 times the amount of power coming in on the salt, and they're charging me grid consumption. And now they're taking a feed-in over priority of feeding my battery, charging my battery up. Yeah, you just can't make it. There's no way this is made up. They've done all this stuff on purpose. And they're ripping everyone off. That's it. And I can't believe that they're getting away with it. I just can't. It's the biggest scam on every, 47% of households in Australia are subject to this scam crap. Now, I don't know what percentage of them have a battery backup, but I'm going to say if they've got a battery backup, they're getting absolutely screwed. Because that's why I'm here. That's why I've started a YouTube channel, everything. I mean, it's like it's the Wild West. It's getting me starting to think, people are probably hijacking the stuff at their house. They can do that. You can reverse engineer these smart meters and you can actually look at everyone's usage up the street. It causes a daisy chain between the smart meters on the road, and then that all goes to a router, which eventually goes in. And if you look at how they run the data, it's so sketchy. It really is. They run all these weird percentages, and every second it pings up to 5 million, and it throws a data back, and that data, they calculate a percentage from that. And I believe that's all in the line in the street of power consumption on that same thing. So it's really, and because they're throwing all that data through that same channel, that they've got the data so sporadic. It's like, well, they call it encrypted or whatever, but I mean, it's just absolute madness. I mean, why do all that stuff when my inverter clearly will just tell you what I've used? So this whole smart meter thing never needed to happen. And the retailers never needed to get metering control. And so that really it should have all been direct to SA Power back, and whatever, what I just said. You don't need the smart meter. If you wanted to, you could phone them in and tell them at the end of the month what your inverter says. But the inverter, this equipment we're watching here, the battery system, the Alpha ESS cloud thing, it's very easy for them to get a tap onto this on the internet, right? So they can easily, they don't need a smart meter out here with a mobile phone chip in it that constantly emits frequency, because this is their next thing, because this is what AGL is saying. Oh, well, your problems with the mobile phone network then. I'm just like, mate, they've got it all in their script, because the businessmen know what they're going, all the objections, and they've been trained in what's called, I used to work in sales, they've been trained in objection handling. And I grill them to bits. It doesn't work on me, I still grill them. And basically, and that's what I was doing yesterday, because this is a massive scam. And no, I'm not going to be closed out through some question process, mate. And I told him I want to speak to your boss and I want the smart meter removed. So who really knows? Because I mean, the only other thing I can think of, because I know people that've been forced into retirement, early retirement, because of a smart meter. And so what I'm thinking is basically getting on the road, living on the road. Heck, if I put this same solar system on an RV, I wouldn't have to pay no government a bloody cent, or no business person a bloody cent. I'd have what I paid for, and I'd get to use it properly as what I paid for, because this is not what I paid for. No one in their right mind would jump on this scam, which is grassroots corruption. What I mean is it's encrypted data from you, the end user, and then when you question it, they say that your equipment is not accurate. And in the meantime, they've given you all these bills. You're colder than you've ever been. You're not able to use the power like you used to. Your hot water's costing you way more than it ever did. Plus, you need, in my case, the reason my bills are getting that low and I'm between 5-6 kilowatt usage is because I'm being damn cold and I've been turning the hot water system off so that it charges once in a 24-hour period and not 3 times. Twice to 3 times. So, and that said, the whole control load is completely null and void because you don't get the cheaper rate when they apply it and it hits your battery straight away. And it's just disgusting that then they charge you grid consumption for using your own battery. I mean, look at this. This is completely disgusting, right? I'm being charged grid consumption. My battery is clearly, not my battery. The load is, well, at the moment, it's a quarter of the solar coming in. I mean, it's their perfect scam is what it is. That's all it is. It's a perfect scam. And all of us end users don't have a choice but to suck eggs. And that's what they've done. And this, mate, they're charging me 500 grid consumption just then, when the load is half of the solar coming in. And so the other thing, I mean, this video's been going for a while. Yep, that's gone up. So this has come up by 0.1 now. So, and then we look here, and all of what they've done is a scam. Well, first off, there is no recent grid consumption, and I'm just showing to you what we already looked at. When I explain it to you again, it's completely absurd that that I've been, well, not absurd. It's this is inaccurate, incorrect data, and there is no way on earth the system operates like this. And so they're doing it just to make me have to pay. And all that grid consumption, that last bit you saw, it's not even here. Look, it's not even there. If you zoom in, it stops here. And yet we've seen this go up, and we're watching it. Like we're watching it right now. So if this was a water tank, it'd be leaking. If this was your car tire, it'd be flat. And this is what they've done. Most disgusting. And how long ago about the beginning of this video, a little bit after. So it's probably been about 25 minutes now, and my battery's hardly charged up at all from what was coming in. What they're doing, I don't know, they're doing some juggling out behind the scenes and just make it that I'm not getting the power and they're taking it as a feed-in. Or they're charging me grid consumption. It's the biggest, anyway, I'm just getting pretty sick of this. And not to mention it's making me sick. I mean, look at this. Absolutely absurd. How's that accurate meaning when they force you to use grid consumption when you don't need it? I mean, I should just live stream this. Just leave it on, you know? I'll refresh it. We're looking to see if that last, they were saying I was using 500 grid consumption in that. Let's have a look. Oh, look, this has gone up. 300.3, 0.03, it's gone up, sorry. And then you look at the graph here, nothing new. It's exactly as it was. Nothing new. So I mean, this is just a 42-minute video where I've proved a number of times what they're doing, this scam that they're running, and they don't, none of them take me seriously. They all say, "Oh, your equipment's not certified," and you know. And in the meantime, they are aggressive. They've got debt collectors on me, and if I ring them to make a complaint, they're just horrible. They have all the things to say for objection handling, when the fact of the matter is, I am being ripped off from. That's the facts. I'm being scammed, and I can produce further records to show all this easily. And that's why anyone in my situation should also be doing what I'm doing and prepare, because heck, they're going to come after you for money. So you're going to want to take this stuff with you to go to court to say, look, I bought this equipment. They've caused it to malfunction to cause me financial harm, hardship, which is exactly what they've done. I mean, you look at the contract with the solar company, I was meant to not even pay a cent for power just about moving forward. What they don't, you know, what you don't, I guess, grasp in the solar company is that's all, I guess, based on the old meter. It's not based on the smart meter. Because the smart meter is it completely screws your system. First thing it does, it makes it that the whole system turns off when you turn your mains off. I mean, we're in the business for power here, aren't we? Why the hell is my whole system, my backup battery solar system, turning off when the mains get turned off? There is a switch built in these in these smart meters, and that is why they're able to actually do this sort of stuff remotely from your property now. Before, illegally, they could read your meter, but they're not allowed to turn it off. And so, you know, these are all the loopholes they've just jumped straight through. And see, when you give them complete power, don't think for a second they're not going to take it and use it against us. Like they're doing right here. There is no way on earth I require that grid consumption. No way under God's shining sun. And look, my battery's hardly got anywhere yet. And we've been sitting here how long? With how much solar coming in? Oh no, they've completely hijacked it. And what you're looking here is false information. I swear, if I had the exact same setup with the old meter, it would not look like this at all. And they've hijacked it to do their scam. It's as simple as that. I mean, look at this. Anyway, you know, yeah, I'll go to court. I'm ready to go to court. They need to get all the harmonic stuff done here ASAP. And they need to develop a whole, I mean, heck, maybe that should be what I should be focused on, setting up a company that does harmonics testing to prove these scammers what they are. Because what they've done, they basically made the power network like the dark web, where you have to log in through encryption and all this stuff. You know, you can understand why for protection purposes, this and that, but in reality, they're all just running through the mobile network, and what they've done, any hacker could get in and hijack everything. And they can burn people's houses down. I mean, it's some of the most stupidest, maddest, dumbest decision making I've ever seen in my life. And yeah, so this is this new thing. So they roll all this out, and so the next thing is going to be this net zero thing, right? So they're saying because remember we bought into this scam from Environment basically. So now their new environment thing is this net zero, which is going to give them the power. This is what they're saying. Give them to power to just start watering down your power. So you know when you want your heating or you want your air conditioning, right? You're going to water it down so it doesn't work properly, right? When your equipment alone can run that stuff from your own battery efficiently, well, they'll hijack all that. So it's absolutely disgusting. And then the other thing is Tesla people, right, with their cars, they're making that they can take charge out of that as well. And anyone that has a Tesla will tell you that's the hardest thing they have to deal with is putting charge into the bloody thing. And so they've taken such power through this whole smart meter thing that it's completely corrupt. I mean, what you're watching is just corruption in action. And when I go to approach them, what do they say? Oh, it's not a certified meter. In the meantime, they've got 3, 4 organisations on your back. So when I say that, you've got the metering company, you've got SA Power, you've got the Ombudsman, Energy and Water, and then you've got the retail, AGL or Origin. And all of them will say against you. Yeah, so they own, it's a racket. It's a scam racket. And it's a gross just completely bad move to give a metering capability to a profiting company. I mean, that should have gone into a non-for-profit organisation, and all this free power for the nation should be used to help the less fortunate, instead of them making it even worse. I mean, I would not be surprised if people died last night from the cold. And you got Queensland and stuff too. Apparently it felt like it was 1 degree this morning over there. And they've got all this stuff rolled out all over there already. And yeah, closing out on this video. I haven't got a good catchphrase yet, but I was going to say, Dynamo the electricity prophet, over and out. Switch it off. I don't know. Whatever it is. Anyway, I want to expose these bastards, or dastards, sorry, expose these dastards. That's someone that's evil. Anyway, yeah, we don't need to go into those words. Alright, thanks for watching. If you watched it all the way through, like, subscribe. Put a comment on, help me to improve if you can. Thanks guys, take care. Oh, I'll just do a quick run over at the end so we can see. So this is shot up. There's been, okay, so we've got a new consumption record to analyze. So once again, the battery supplies 3,000. The load's only 70, and there's 74 solar coming in, and they're charging me 500 watts grid consumption. So yeah, just completely illegitimate consumption here. Like that's going to the toilet, and the brown stuff coming out where the yellow stuff should have come. That's basically what this is. Absolutely disgusting. And yeah, my battery's gone up by 4%. You should see this thing when it charges sometimes. And that's the other thing. I swear they've hijacked all of it. And what they show you here is not what's happening. Not what's happening at all. It's absolutely beyond me how they're doing this and getting away with it. Anyway, back to being sick, and I want this thing removed.